Greetings. Greetings. It's October 1st. It's football season, man. It's starting to feel a little crisp out there, at least here in Florida. It doesn't feel like, the 6th month of August down here. And we're sure excited to be here with you. I have my good friends, Max Freeman, and then Enrique is with us. And what you're seeing right now, we're just going to jump into it. We're going to start this way every Friday because, Enrique, I want you to take it away, but I have the chart up. Why don't you tell those who may be uninitiated what you've done here and how we're going to report on it week to week, just to kind of put our money where our mouth is.
All right, sure. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
The table you see in front of you is a price comparison chart of Epic versus the top 15 coins starting on September 3rd, 2021. What I did on this date is I took a snapshot of the price of Epic and of the top 15 coins by market cap ranking at that date. So you can see in the first column, you'll see the coins. And then in the second column, that's the snapshot I took, which is the prices. You can see Epic was at 32 cents, Luna was at $32, Solana 142, BTC 49,000, and so on and so on. And what I did was I created 16 hypothetical portfolios. They each consisted of $1,000. So I'd say, okay, I'll buy $1,000 worth of Epic, and that would get you 3,125 coins. For Luna, 30.4, Solana 7, BTC 0.02, etc. So you can see how many coins you could buy with $1,000 on September 3rd.
Okay.
All right. And then, well, what I did is I have been taking snapshots. It's been kind of random when I've had time and I've tweeted about it, but now I'm doing it in a more consistent way, which is just a few minutes before the show, generally 20 to 15 minutes before we go on. So do you have the previous one? Yeah.
Oh, you want me to do the previous one versus this to show?
Yeah. Yeah. That one you're showing right now. Yeah, that's the snapshot. That's the actual snapshot that I took.
Yeah. So it
was 15 minutes ago. So yeah.
Yep. So you take this. It was 15 minutes ago. And the reason why you take this is you could be really clever and say, I took this on October 1st, but you could wait until Bitcoin gets down to like maybe it dips to 44 today. So that you cherry pick that price, but then somebody buys a lot of Epic and goes up to 52 and you pick it. But no, what you do
would be too complicated.
That would be too complicated. So this is just, I wanted to show you, this is just fair. So we'll go back to the other one. Yeah. And oh, good. Yoga dude, Zoom dude.
Hey, welcome. Guys.
It's great seeing you.
Hey.
What a pleasure. This is the first. All right. Let me go back to here. And this is where you wanted me to go, Enrique?
Yeah. So like I was saying, I take the snapshot because, it's price of Epic and top 15. So you can look at the two images and look at the hour in which I take them. So essentially what we have for today are the prices of the top 15 coins. And as you can see, Epic is at 47 cents, Luna at $38, Solana 157, Bitcoin at 47, XRP, which was one of my favorites in the past, $1, 2 cents, Cardano 222, and so on. So you can see in the next column the total portfolio value in US dollars today when I took the snapshot. So that's calculated by multiplying the amount of coins that I bought with the $1,000 times the price. That's the value of your portfolio. Yep. So as you can see, only 3 coins as of today have been in the green.
I love that
September 3rd.
I love that you've done this green versus red. That's fantastic.
It's easy to identify the winners.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then in the final column, you see the portfolio value percentage increase from September 3rd to October 1st. And you'll see Epic at 48% increase, Luna at 17.5%, Solana at 10.5%, and the rest are in the negative. And you'll see at the bottom that the last ones have taken quite a hit. Doge, ICP, Cardano, they've lost almost a quarter of the value. And yeah, Luna, Terra Luna and Solana, they're doing pretty well. But as you can see, Epic's it has been doing a lot better than these coins over the last month. And so what I'm doing here is every Friday, I'm gonna take a snapshot at the same time, or maybe 5 minutes more or less, but I'll try to always do it 15 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
And so people can see how Epic performs versus the rest. And it's pretty simple, snapshot and then just paste the values here. And
well, this is as fair can be. And this isn't just kind of the luck of a day or the luck of a week. Even we have a full month under our belt now. And so this is pretty impressive. And frankly, these gains only started happening once you started coming on the show, Enrique. So I'm giving you full credit. No,
it's one of those coincidences.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. That is Max, I'm curious what you have to say about that. What are your thoughts about this month's worth of performance?
So I think that the utility of the asset determines what people should pay for it. And crypto often overshoots when there's FOMO and undershoots when there's FUD. And so as has been my custom and will continue to be, I don't prefer to talk about anything price-wise at all, but I will just say that it reflects so the price of utility. Sorry, I've been distracted. I was trying to take notes here and work on the white paper and too many things. Let me put that aside for a second. It's very dangerous to talk about price, and we should not do it if we don't want to come to harm, because anything we say can and will be used against us in the court of whatever in the future. And so if we focus on utility rather than price, then we're safe. And so the point I was trying to make is that in the short term, markets are voting machines, but in the long term, they're weighing machines. And so if we create a lot of utility and people are finding it useful for whether that's a store of value or for its direct utility as a medium of exchange or whatever, then over time, water finds its own level and we'll get there price-wise. I think that Epic is way too immature to find much signal in the noise of daily and weekly and even monthly price fluctuations. But I will point out that Epic is currently trading at over 80% below its all-time high in Satoshis from over a year ago, when we had about 1/4 the community we do. We had many less contributors than we do. We had fewer mining pools. We were supported by fewer mining software clients. We weren't in 101 countries like we are now. We've been running the race. We've been running the marathon with our shoes tied together and a backpack full of rocks. And that is our self-imposed limitation that we can't go and do marketing explicitly for Epic. But now we've got ECR, and as a token and as the equity in our enterprise, we do need to go and do that type of stuff. And so many more people will just be able to hear about what we're doing. And so I would say if people have less than what they want in Epic and are sitting on the sidelines and waiting, what are you waiting for? Is it likely to get cheaper? You're trying to do a market timer type of strategy, okay. But if it's the friction of the process and you want to get in but can't, then come to one of our chats and let us help you. Because looking back over the entire journey so far, which for me has been about 3 years now, the number of times that people say, man, I bought some and the price went down and then I had to sell it next week and I lost, versus, man, I was gonna buy some and now it's too expensive. And then they wait more and now it's more expensive. We've seen this movie before in BTC. The asset is designed to inflate to infinity in fiat terms, which is really just staying stable, because one epic is one epic and it's the number of fiats that's exploding. So I know that's a lot. That'll teach you to ask me about price.
Well, and one thing too, I know when you're talking about micro caps, which is kind of, if you have a project, if you have a coin, if you have a token, and you do all of your homework and you ask all of the right questions and you consider the utility of it, that is exactly the time that I want to be in on it. And that's what I feel. I feel blessed with Epic Cash, is I do feel that I am in on the ground floor of something very, very special. And I recognize the fact that any kind of fluctuations that you have when you're a micro cap, I mean, shoot, one person or one miner or whatever can purchase or sell, and you're going to see that. But then what happens is when you start to expand the horizon and you open up the project to more liquidity, I think this would be a good time, Max, for you to just give an update on, I brought it up here on screen, Bitmart, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bitmart is a wonderful outfit. They've proven to be a great partner. As I mentioned before, I've talked to, let's say, got to be 100 of exchanges and similar outfits, and it's usually just a very one-sided predatory sort of, like, if they'll even bother to talk to you, which usually is they won't, but if they will, it's a hiding store and they're looking down the filth that isn't already dressed head to toe in Fendi or whatever. And so they're humble, they're down to earth, they're very reasonable and affordable. Instead of having this elaborate ritual over negotiations, it's very straightforward. It's 50 grand. That's the number for us and everyone else. So it's a very low friction, standardized experience. So we are very happy with Bitmart and look forward to doing a lot with them because they are safe and they're not going to vanish tomorrow like some of these other outfits. Bkey.com was one that in an alternate universe, maybe we would have ended up listing with, because there was a lot of pressure to scratch that itch for a centralized exchange. I think it was maybe a year and a half ago or something that this one came across our radar. And anyway, long story short, they got caught upside down by this China stuff lately, and they just sent out a notice. They're closing their doors. Another Mimblewimble coin in our Rust ecosystem based on Grin was affected by that. And so I think step forward for our entire ecosystem that the next step happens, which is that ECR will be the first to go live. All we need is the legal opinion, which we have engaged a gentleman named Thomas Nagele in Liechtenstein, who literally wrote the book or a book on this type of stuff. So we're very fortunate to be guided by him and his team. So once
isn't Liechtenstein, sorry to interrupt, isn't Liechtenstein kind of the crypto legal capital of the world of
it really is. Yeah.
Compliance? I mean, that's where if you're going to launch a project, when you have that kid tested, Liechtenstein approved, that bodes well in the future, where nobody's going to come tap on your shoulder and say, "Excuse me, would you lean up against the car?"
Yeah, and I think it signals to the marketplace that we're making an investment in our defensibility. If any authoritarian-minded parties wanted to find weaknesses in our structure, they would see that we've got a very robust oak door and a sturdy lock on that particular front in the battle space.
Mm-hmm.
Enrique, you mentioned that you used to like XRP, and I would say I actually still like XRP despite their struggles with the powers that be, because they do have that weakness, they do have that vulnerability, that chink in their armor, but they also, through their market value and through the XRP army and the fact that I don't personally care to use it myself, but a lot of people do, and looks like they're going to be able to survive the attack when, like a kin died from it. Telegram had to basically abandon everything related to blockchain because they couldn't make the regulatory situation work. And so I think it's another example of where keen observers that see how we are choosing to approach certain issues, we'll see that we're going for excellence and nothing less, and we're attracting increasingly high quality people to our camp.
That's great. I'd like to take just a quick shout out, our moment to shout out Dustin Plantholt, who is a friend of the show, friend of all of ours here, and he is the host of Bitcoin.com's podcast. And that man has interviewed, just countless people in the industry. And he's the one that, we go to when there's questions like, name the number one legal firm in the space based upon your knowledge. And he immediately pointed to Liechtenstein and connected us with the person. So, and also a shout out to his company, Dustin's company, crypturns.com. There's going to be some exciting announcements coming up with a new launch of their site within 2 to 4 months. I'm sorry, 2 to 4 weeks, probably closer to 2. And if you are at all interested out there in this crypto blockchain ecosystem, maybe even getting educated on how to be involved and maybe get a job in it, I just encourage you to go to crypturns.com and kick the tires. It's just, you're going to want to be there before the next 2 weeks. And the other thing, we showed Bitmart up there. I personally have been going through the process of getting my own accounts set up. So when that's ready to roll, I want to be ready to roll. So it is going to happen. So I would encourage you to, sooner than later, go get your account or accounts. Okay. Yoga, thank you for joining us. It's great to see you. And I know that, why does it make sense for people to own Epic Cash as part of a diversification strategy, versus Bitcoin, gold, stocks? I know we had a sidebar conversation about it, and I just thought that your insight on that was pretty fascinating. So can you just drop some knowledge on us, what your thoughts are?
Well, as I mentioned before, I've got into Bitcoin in 2011, and Bitcoin was facing a adoption problem, which is, to a much lesser extent, is still facing today. Mm-hmm. And the community was really trying to figure out how to get the rest of the world connected to it. And a lot of the conversation evolved around, first of all, who were they trying to convince? Well, the whole world, but more concretely, who? And they were trying to convince people, who were holding their assets in gold. They were trying to convince people who were holding their assets in stocks, and so on and so on. And the conversation innocently began with just, hey guys, look, how bad could it be if you diversify 1% of your portfolio into this new finagled technology called Bitcoin? My pitch today is really no different than that. Is I would encourage everybody to diversify 1% of their portfolio into Epic Cash. And this is not an investment advice, but this is just a diversification recommendation based on what Bitcoin has done and how well people have done with it. And
So let
to,
me
and to the Bitcoin maximalists and to everybody else,
Yeah.
it's just a why not?
So let's rewind. Let's
Yes.
rewind to when did you get involved with Bitcoin? Was it 2012?
No, 2011.
2011. Okay, so
Yeah.
back then, do you recall what the price would have been?
No, sorry.
Okay.
We were more excited about just
Yeah,
minting it. You know?
Yeah, no, the nerds wanted to pay Bitcoin for telling jokes. No, it was very cool. But my point is,
It was low enough that I did not mind paying 8 Bitcoins for a pair of alpaca socks.
there you go. So my question is, if at that point, and that probably is an unfair year to compare, where do you think, what year do you think Bitcoin kind of came into its own where somebody could boldly say, invest 1% of your portfolio into Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, when it became people started realizing that it's behaving more like a stock, more like an asset.
Yeah.
It's like when it crossed 100, when it went up. But the thing that when Bitcoin, Bitcoin was, people said that Bitcoin failed like 500 times or 400 times over the years. Okay, so for a lot of people, it really was like a very volatile asset, and a lot of people were kind of concerned about it. But now the precedent has been set. Here we are 10 years later, 11 years later, and it's still live and kicking and doing pretty darn well. Although its market dominance compared to the overall market is gradually diminishing as more and more projects come online. So to me, it's I think a lot of people jumped in early on, and a lot of those people, they just don't flaunt their wealth, if you will. So there are a lot of very quiet whales.
But just a thought experiment here.
Yeah.
Is right now we're saying, hey, or you're saying 1% of your investable assets, just put it in Epic Cash. If we were having the same conversation and it was about Bitcoin when the price hit $100, I mean, and now you fast forward to today, we know the answer. I mean, that 1% would be valued at just a
profane amount of money.
Yes. And
And
so here, with everything that we have going for Epic Cash, and Epic Cash is Bitcoin perfected, it's not a bad bet to take your counsel on that and sit back and just watch the magic happen.
Caveat: I'm not making financial advice. All I'm talking about is, and I'm not going like Jamie Dimon on this thing. When first he was like saying that Bitcoin is the ultimate evil and it's rubbish, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And he did a full 180 and then some. When he pivoted to saying that, hey, it's definitely a worthwhile path to diversification, to a point where he then said that it's irresponsible not to have it as part of your portfolio. Okay, so so to me, I mean, again, I don't recommend to any of my friends who know me over the decades. I never recommend people, no matter how sure the bet is, to play with more money than people can afford to lose. In fact, rolling it back from 1%, the most obvious thing that for the everyday man, because a lot of people don't have an investment portfolio. Okay.
True.
This is the other thing that I don't want to come off like elitist and like, here we're a bunch of fat cats, right? Sitting around going, yes, I think I'm going to dump some oil today and convert it to Bitcoin or to Epic Cash. No. Here's a simpler thing. Okay. Go and clear your garage. Okay. Throw a garage sale and buy some Epic. Okay.
Indeed.
That's simple. Okay. Worst case scenario, you're going to end up with a clean garage.
Can I tell you, you said that you said that a long time ago.
Yes.
And I legitimately, I remember the number. I ended up with $1,299. I did that and I put it in Epic Cash because I wanted to be able to walk the talk. And, it was a couple of bicycles. It was some weights. It was, just things that were taking up space that, I know I look like I should be on the front of, a muscle magazine.
Oh, yeah.
With a 1-pack. But, that's my niche. And, but I got rid of the weights and the exercise equipment and I raised $1,299. Now, what's that $1,299 going to be? in 5 years probably was a good garage sale. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. And to me, again, I'm not trying to talk price as cool as it is. To me, it's also an opportunity to be a part of something interesting. Okay. A lot of the time, when I talk to my friends who are considerably wealthier than I am, the thing that they focus on is not how much they have, but how interesting it was
I like
that they made it on. Okay.
I like
the path, the journey, and people who could say, tell their kids, grandkids, whatever, like, hey, I was part of the digital revolution. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. And I'm 56. I'm kind of, most would say, kind of outside my prime earning years. It maybe not. I don't know.
I would disagree with that, but keep going. Sorry.
Well, based on my experience of back in the day where we were, anyway, it's like now I look at it and I'm like, Epic Cash doesn't give a crap where I live, what I do, what my experience is. Doesn't give a crap about any of that. If I start making some, personal moves, and I think that based upon the utility and the design and everything, that the other guy on this call, Max Freeman, who has a supercomputer of a brain, the other things he's pulling together within this ecosystem, and then the incredible team and the community that has evolved. I look at this and I'm like saying, it's like, it would be irresponsible of me not to give a lot of my focus and attention on this. So I'm super excited. Max, I would like and I know you don't have it prepared, but I know that you are not one to, take feedback and run away from it. But I know that the Crypto Vigilante, TCV, they fired me as a customer, so I didn't get it, but I understand that they came out with a hit piece on Mimblewimble, and I think you're working on a response. Is that fair to say?
I'm more of the maestro, or the conductor of the orchestra, and the individual cellists and flutists are going to be responsible for the music. But yeah, we're pulling together the bullet points. It is disconcerting and uncomfortable and unpleasant that we have to be responding to this type of high school type of stuff. I'll circle back around in a second, but I just wanted to tie up the thought on Bitmart on ECR. So as soon as they get the legal opinion, it is under 1 week for them to list ECR. And by 1 week, I mean a single digit number of days, not to exceed 1 week. But really, everything else that can be ready is in place. And so we've got that front burner, and lawyers move at their own pace. But to the extent we've got the ability to nudge it along, we will. And there is another alternative set of paths on how we get additional coverage for Epic that I want to come back to. So don't let me forget to talk about the E1 token, the wrapped Epic, and how that unlocks Bitmart much sooner than would otherwise be the case. But yeah, in response to TCV, so somebody sent me a copy of it. I have it right here. It says, according to this article, it is possible to see that somebody did a transaction using, in this case, Grin, which is what our code base originally derives from. So it's the same thing. So they referenced this thoroughly debunked article from years ago, and it would be one thing if they didn't know, but we've told them a half a dozen, if not a dozen times. They know that they are lying. They are intentionally misleading their subscribers who are paying, as I understand it, hundreds of dollars. If you're going to pay hundreds of dollars, these people should be paid for the retardation of their minds that these guys are polluting. And I find it offensive, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. So we don't know why they're lying, but they are. And we are going to dispassionately present those facts for public consumption. And then, honey badger don't care. There was a time where it would have been great to have that group of people who do care about freedom and liberty and privacy, or at least they claim to have them in our corner. But with the trash talking and the epic shit coin and all this, like, seriously, you guys can go pound sand. Everybody gets the price they deserve, and let them buy in at $10,000 later.
Amen. Yeah, it does bother me because, I went through the Darrow debacle, but what I see, like within the R community, is there are 10,000 people, in that community, at least the Telegram community, I think, and such. And for them to incessantly hear lies from TCV and Rafael Blvd and Mr. X and their whole team, when it is an absolute lie that's been refuted, and I know you will refute it again, and we'll have the once and for all that people can point to, but it just does the damage to where it shuts people's minds off, because these subscribers are like, well, these guys are the experts, so if they say so, versus what they're trying to do when you follow the money is protect, their greatest position, and this is nothing against XMR, but their greatest position in their portfolio is Monero. So if there are issues with future proofing of transactions where the information is still in there,
that's putting it lightly.
And I know it's putting it lightly, but with Mimblewimble, guess what? You can have the most advanced Marcus Allen DARPA advanced technology in the world, but if there's no data in there, there's no data in there, and that's why it's a beautiful
and also, like, let's talk. Okay, so somebody says you used Epic Cash. Okay, how much was it for? I have no idea. Well, okay, prove it. I don't have the data. Okay, why are we talking again? Versus, like, there's $3.6 million on the line of Chainalysis bounty, and I think it's FUD and bogus, but they're saying we can trace you now. And so with Epic, there's no question. With these other ones that cost thousands of times more, there is a question. My question is, who or what is causing these people? Maybe it's just greed. But it's disgusting. Why are you misleading people intentionally? I just don't get it. Maybe I'm too honest and naive, but it's a dangerous world. This is intentional mis and disinformation with malice aforethought, and it needs to stop today.
Amen.
Can I just ask,
please,
just and maybe we can, whatever, but why are we even why are we even necking this shit up? I mean, seriously, guys, why are we even giving this any credence or whatever? I mean, this has been talked about, what, a year and a half ago? I mean, we keep dragging this up. Okay, there's nothing to talk about here. It is meaningless.
Because they keep putting the pebble in the shoe, and they have a huge audience, and this is
who cares?
Show. This is a show dedicated.
Yeah, I'd rather not hear about it anymore. So let's reference this.
Personally, I'm done
to end the debate. Yeah.
Personally, I'm done. I'm done necking this up. Okay, because this is it was ridiculous in the first place, and it doesn't get less ridiculous every time this gets brought up. So personally,
I'm glad we're going to have a refutation that's a final refutation.
There are 3 or 4 refutations that came out that are phenomenal and exhausting. Okay. And honestly, it doesn't matter. This is like, trying to talk to some kid on a playground, like, and he just, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It doesn't matter. He didn't come here to hunt bear, okay, or whatever. Okay. That's not the point of this. The point is you don't engage with trolls. And I don't waste my time engaging with trolls. The evidence is there. Exhaustive.
Well
evidence.
said, Yoga. Thank you.
Done.
Thank you. All right.
Done.
Discipline. Next point.
All right. Let's talk about V3.
Yeah, so V3, in short, gets us no more port opening, and you won't have to mess around with ngrok. Improved Tor support, also payment proofs. So if you want to be able to let someone, let's say decentralized exchange, read your activity, but not have control over the wallet. There's a P2P DEX called BISC that wasn't compatible, or their code base, let's say, was not compatible with our prior version, but post V3 it is. So it unlocks some new opportunities there.
What is V3 for those who may be new to
Sure. So V3 is like when Microsoft Windows went from 98 to 2000, that's our equivalent. Or when you get a new phone and it's the next version of iOS or Android, this is the major operating system upgrade for our entire ecosystem.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
And the big thing that it unblocks is I know people are tired of hearing about this, but it's the native mobile app. So once we go live with V3, all roadblocks are removed, and we can sprint toward that long-awaited objective.
Okay, I told you I was going to be contrarian, because we have extended the time to release V3 for the very specific reason that we wanted to pay some tech developers to go in and beat it up for a couple of weeks. And I want to ask you two things. One, why did we do that, and what's the benefit of that? And two, if we didn't, what could go wrong or could have gone wrong?
So I'll start with what could have gone wrong and now can't based on what we did, which is we don't know the percentage chance that it would have been, but as we saw in March, when something goes wrong, it can be catastrophically wrong. And in Ethereum, the system can blow up. And that's okay, because people expect it, and it's baked into the returns that they're going for. And you break some eggs sometime. But BTC, which is really what Epic is designed to be, let's say a companion for, if not a replacement, an upgrade path that is backward compatible, let's say. It needs to be bulletproof. And so BTC had its value overflow incident in 2010, and then absolute flawless performance for the following 11 years. And I think it's going to go on indefinitely. And so we had our version of that in 2021. And I believe that we will have unimpeded, perfect performance of Epic from here on out. And the reason I'm confident about making that statement, or as confident as one can be in this crazy world in 2021, maybe 0 + 1 at some point will add up to something other than 1, and I'll be surprised. But essentially what we've done is expanded the automated test coverage of the code. And so making sure that it is behaving as expected, and that as additional complexity comes in with other components, that as long as those things don't change, then the things that depend on them won't change as well. So this is our chance to demonstrate through our actions, more than our words, our commitment to a certain type of high assurance and high quality engineering. And we're making sure that we don't have catastrophic problems through the care and just painstaking dedication to every detail. It probably would have been 99.999 whoever percent okay, but we wanted to make it 100 and felt that it was worth the additional time to ensure that.
Is this considered a third-party audit, or
No?
Yes.
Well,
I mean,
kind of. It's an outside party audit. Okay, sure. Third party, fourth party, fifth party, sixth party, etc. Okay, yes, it's more eyeballs on the code.
Okay. I just know I've heard those terms thrown around about that why haven't they done a third party?
Well, and there's audits, and there's audits. I mean, Zcash was audited in I think multiple times, and because their code is so complex, there's only a handful of people who are smart enough to understand the moon math, and so they had a bug that could have allowed, as I understand it, unlimited minting for 2 years. and nobody discovered it. They just kind of got lucky on that one. We consider that a very cautionary tale. So, you know, I want to just, the reason Yoga said no and I said yes is because when you look at the DeFi quote audit, and then these things blow up, and how did they blow up when they got audited? There's audits and there's audits. And so the general principle is just that not just more people, but different people bring fresh sets of eyes to things and look at it in different ways. And so documentation, automated cucumber testing, refactoring.
You're throwing terms that scare normal people. Okay, when you throw casual automated cucumber testing,
I always forget.
Absolutely nothing to the populace. Okay, here's my thing. Okay, V3 is an operation system upgrade for the blockchain. That's kind of the short, dumb way of putting it. Okay, and if you're talking about third party, fourth party, etc., audits, like, and the whole point of the exercise is you're essentially increasing the margin of safety. That's all you can do in code. There are always bugs. Okay, and consider this: the code base that we started with, because we forked from Grin. Okay, the code base that we started, and we put our limited emission policy on it, multi-algorithm mining policy on it, etc. Okay. But the code base that we started with has been audited and audited and audited and audited ad nauseum before and since. Okay, so one more audit, etc. This is more kind of for our peace of mind by a team that's more familiar with our dynamics as opposed to just the overall Mimblewimble dynamics. This is more of a native audit, if you will. Part of it was also just to be able to have better documentation. So part of it is also, part of the audit includes better annotation of what we have to be able to support third party, because this is a community project that's open to everyone. It's a GitHub, project, okay, to be able to bring other people in to develop better miners, better wallets, better use cases, better everything, okay? And the better your source code is documented, the cleaner it is, the easier it is to manage, to read, to understand, for somebody who comes in from outside of the ecosystem, well, the better it is for everybody. So that's really all it is. So
do many other
and
projects?
You're increasing I mean, just about all projects, do audits. Okay, that's just a thing. And programming in general, this is a programming flow, part of the process. Okay, and all you can do is you're trying to improve the margin of safety, because everybody knows. I mean, even the granddaddy of them all, Bitcoin in 2010 got railroaded, and person minted 180 plus million coins out of thin air. Okay, and people say, well, Bitcoin was never hacked. Wiki that, okay? So again, that's the nature of software. Okay, as cool as we are, and this is why I'm against talking about absolute math of privacy cryptos. I think you're talking about the likelihood. You're hedging. You're trying to improve the margin of safety, the margin of privacy, the margin of impenetrability, if you will. Okay, but you have to acknowledge at a math level, you can brute force through that, you can backdoor that, you can social attack that, you can and on and on, you can Trojan that, you can so etc. There are all these different vectors of attack, and all you can do is you try to make it as safe as you can. Just like when you have a kid and you're teaching your kid how to survive and everything, you know that you're not going to be there every time your kid trips and falls. Okay, so this is one of those things where you try and make it safer, as safe as you possibly can.
Excellent. Max, I'm going to pull something up here, and I'd like you to just let people know what this little fella is.
Little fella, yeah. So this is, I'll call it a white paper, but really it's kind of more of a tome. It's about 100 pages so far, and there's still a lot to flesh out. So what's there is pretty solid and definitely worth a look. We're going to end up breaking it up into different little booklets. So if you only care about EUSD, then you don't have to wade through the other stuff. So this has been a major undertaking, and those of you who are helping with this, thank you. Those who would want to help, please reach out. We can always definitely use more hands and different sets of eyes. So we call that the Hello World document. And if you see on the front page, if you want to scroll up there to the top, the black cover page,
Let's
page
see.
1.
I can't figure out where the damn thing to. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay.
I do that all the time.
Yep.
All right.
Is that where you want me?
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this underscores our commitment to reaching everyone. We have 19 African indigenous languages that are going to be loaded onto epicentral.io here soon. So it's great that we're in 101 countries, but it's not great that we're not in all the ones where we're not. And so our goal is to get a single dot. We want to have a full node, ideally somebody mining, but even if it's just a node in every country in the world. And so if you can't learn about it because you don't speak the language and we don't make the effort to speak your language, then there's always going to be that that barrier. So when we released the original Epic white paper over 2 years ago now, I think it was 17 languages, something like that. And we're getting up over 30 or so now, and we'll continue to do it. So we want to be everywhere.
Well, I mean, when you just go through this, okay, maybe the better way to do this, I think, just because this is a big deal. So over here on the left, you have Hello DAO, the existing monetary landscape, the epicenter mission, our values, impact, and then you have different segments. So please, those of you who may be looking at this for the first time and you hear Epic Cash is just a little tiny piece of this macro project and ecosystem. And Max has brilliantly unpacked everything that's important or should be important to us all in our decisions of investing in a coin, perhaps even one that's relatively undiscovered like Epic Cash. Community is a huge part of that. Censorship resistance, huge part. Regulatory compatibility. I mean, this is Liechtenstein right here, right? This is to make sure that when we invest our dollars, our energy, our time, and everything, that we're not doing anything that's ultimately gonna get us in trouble or get our coins, seized or get us delisted off of exchanges. And the Howey test, we pass that with flying colors. On
Uncle,
money,
just
and
let me jump in there real quick. You scrolled past it, but we have had since 2019 a quite substantive opinion letter for the U.S. For Epic itself, which is why we had the confidence, to say that we would be solid as far as SEC is concerned. So the Liechtenstein is specifically for ECR, and probably it will end up including EUSD as well, because the pieces of the puzzle that we need to start field testing EUSD are coming into place. So we can have that there too.
Excellent. So I'm just going to, again, I don't want to unpack all of these. I just want to give people a sense. And I will put a link to this when the show renders and I can go into the comments. The description, and I'll add a link to this so you can go and in your own time, just enjoy a little bit of reading. But ESG perspective. So, here we go. I've been at this for months and months and months, and I've never heard the term ESG. So I have some learning to do there. Economics, ECAP, Epic. You've heard about all those. ECR, EC, EIOU. You have our protocols, roadmap. I mean, just look at this, guys. Friends of Epicenter, the Epicenter DAO, ecosystem. So, and I'm not even halfway through. Geez, I just realized that. So, let's go here. We were talking about this earlier. Yoga, you want to talk about this? I know this is kind of your world.
I have no idea what you're pointing at, my friend.
Epic Cash nodes. Can you not see this?
I don't have I have the YouTube thing up on the screen now, but on my Zoom, all I can see is your beautiful face, Todd, and you're pointing at the thing. So Epic Cash nodes.
Aren't we sharing this?
You're sharing to the
I
broadcast.
can see it.
I can see it.
Yeah. Okay.
I see. Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So the Epic Cache nodes. I mean, we just did a snapshot of mining information and people running nodes, and we're able to determine that this is like over a course of 6 months, I believe. And a lot of these are just obviously repeating the same ones. Some new nodes appear, some new nodes, some old nodes disappear. But this is kind of the snapshot that we have that shows us. I think this is about 4,400 data points right there, and it shows our presence in 101 countries.
Now, what makes that a big deal? Who cares?
Well, sure, why not? Who cares? Frankly, it just shows that your network is big initially. So on a math level, it just shows that you have stability. So it's a number of nodes. It's irrelevant where they are. But since we're pushing for mass adoption, and since we're really trying to underscore the fact that we are a borderless crypto, we're not an elitist, crypto for just the English-speaking world. This really shows our traction across the world, that people, have share our values globally, not just locally. This is not a Chinese miner coin. If you look at it, we're pretty well distributed all over the place. We're in, we're in 101 places. Okay, so it shows the fact that people accept us in places where people don't speak English, in places where there's not a very big even Bitcoin penetration, in places where the economies and the governments in those places are very adversarial towards private property and things like that. So what it shows is that for whatever reason, people are adopting Epic Cache in all of these diverse geographic domains. Again, because it is essentially unconfiscatable private property. It's not just a crypto. Crypto is a crypto. I mean, NFT is a crypto. Bitcoin is a crypto. Ether is a crypto. They're all cryptos. But what Epic Cache is more so, because it cannot be tainted, it is fully fungible. It is truly unconfiscatable private property. And here's, as they say, the proof is in the pudding, or some people say, I'm from Missouri, the show me state. Well, take a look. Okay, that's our map, and this is where we are. This is where we have, feet on the ground, and this is where people installed our software. This is where people, ran their miners. This is where people earn their Epic. This is where people supporting the network by their presence on the network. This is what's securing our network. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Excellent.
It's unstoppable money. Right there, you can see.
Well, unpack that, Enrique. What does unstoppable money mean to you?
To me, unstoppable money means that it's money that cannot be manipulated by third parties. It just works. It's neutral. Doesn't care who the sender is, who the receiver is, what amount is being sent, for what reason. And that's how it should be, because tomorrow, whoever is in charge might have a different interpretation of what people are doing. And so you don't want money that's that can't be neutral. You need something that is accessible to everyone. And since everyone can mine it, and over 6 billion devices will be able to secure the network, there's really no stopping that.
Yeah, so it's hard money, but that nobody can mess with. And Max, you recently had shared which was it Polkadot, or what was it that just kind of proactively started delisting some coins because of the political headwinds, or maybe it was, which one was it?
Yeah. So Bittrex in the United States within the past year or so, maybe 6 months, I don't know exactly, time flies, but within very recent memory, those who traded certain assets, namely Grin, Monero, Dash, and Zcash, I believe, woke up one morning to discover that the primary source of liquidity had vanished. The reason I remember is because it used to be relevant for Grin, and then all of a sudden they didn't have that anymore. And so we wanted to make sure that doesn't happen to us. And one part of that is by getting the opinion letter, but also kind of not allowing an undue reliance on any one venue, whether it's centralized or even decentralized, to form. We need to spread out our coverage into more pockets for more resilience. Because as we saw when VTEX was down after the value overflow incident, trading migrated to a certain extent over to Stellar and Pancake Swap. And it was great to be able to have those to do anything, because otherwise we would have lacked those tools.
Yeah.
So the more resilience we have, the harder it is for things to really crimp our style. And so I think of Epic as unstoppable money as really apt. And with the USD, it just takes that to the next level.
Hey, I know that the trading pair of Bitcoin to USDT is the primary, mover there. Can you please, in the last 5 minutes, I really want to start raising the quarter red flag for people who might be just in their sleep using BTC or USDT Tether as a trading pair. What are the potential, how might that prove devastating to all of cryptocurrency? And would we be impacted if that happened, other than the fact that the rest of the market has gone to hell in a handbasket?
Why don't we let Enrique talk about that one? Because he has that magic touch. He helps our number go up technology performance.
All right. So with Tether, well, the main issue is that they are in trouble with I think it's the New York state attorney. They are in a lawsuit, and recently they tweeted out that they had half of the charges dropped. And, that's really, I don't know how that's good, because the pending matters are still very serious, meaning that what is backing up the Tether reserves, it's really kind of a mystery to me. Like, I've been trying to find what those reserves are, where they are in terms of a bank account or assets. And it's been quite difficult for me to pinpoint and say, okay, this is it's a pretty safe coin. And to me, it's a coin that will simply implode one day, and it will bring the market down, but it won't affect coins that are outside of that scheme or that mechanism. And so with USDT, it's something that people need to look into, because like, I've used it, and I try to use it a lot less now, but it's basically what I used for trading all these years, because it's on every exchange. It's it's what we all use. But now things are changing, and EUSD and the mechanism that's behind the Epic, that is safe, and that is, people can see, it's transparent. So there's a big difference between that and what Tether has done. I think that in the future, stable coins, it's going to be interesting to see what happens to them.
Yeah. So is it
And
true
as
that
far as
the USDT is like a fractional reserve system? So if they, if they say that they have 1,000 USDT dollars, they may only really have, I think I've heard 4%.
I think it's a little less than that. Yeah, like if you've issued 60 billion Tether, you're supposed to have $60 billion in a bank account, or combination of dollars in the bank plus gold assets, or whatever, all
Right.
kinds of assets. But but you have to have liquidity, because what happens if you issue them and then you just buy cryptocurrencies and those cryptocurrencies back the USDT? So it gets kind of tricky there.
Yeah.
If there's no transparency in that
Well,
part.
it's kind of like, and we all know this, or we should, but if I have $100,000 in the bank and I go into the bank and I say, hey, I want to withdraw $100,000, they're not going to have $100,000 necessarily in the bank to just give to me. And if everybody went in for their entire amount and they just said, hey, we want all of our money, there is no way, because they do fractional reserves. So they only keep a tiny percent of what's on their balance sheet there. And so that's the same thing with Tether, is that at the point in time to where, let's just say from a regulatory standpoint, they get slapped on the wrist hard or shut down altogether, then when all the people who are holding Tether go to get their money and there's no money in the bank because everyone else is trying to get it, then there's going to be a collapse. So what is the alternative right now? Like if you were a trader now, would you do USDC or?
Yeah, I would. Lately, I shifted to USDC and Paxos Standard.
Okay.
Those were the two. But again, it's difficult. At some point, I always had to move back into USDT, depending on the exchanges. So it makes it quite difficult.
Okay.
And I would point out, for maximum safety until EUSD comes out, and even then, until enough time has passed that people can safely trust it, that's a big asterisk. People get blown up for a lot of money on iron and all this other type of stuff. That Pax and Circle are both centralized, so they rely on cash in a bank account and a company to administer that cash. And so if we had more time, and if you're interested in unpacking this over at Freeman U, we can go over all the different threat vectors, different ways that those tokens can be blown up. And you simply don't have that in the Maker DAI system. So DAI during a crisis tends to trade at a premium. You'll see Tether go below, you'll see USDC command a slight premium, and DAI would go to like 104 or something to reflect the safety. And so there's two emerging ones that are pretty safe, which is Frax is a good one. They're an algorithmic fractional that I would refer people to in good conscience. And the other one is LUSD from a project named Liquidity. As time goes on, I think they'll increasingly take market share away from DAI, but they're all solid options and are designed along similar concepts to what we're deploying in EUSD. It's dangerous out there.
Yeah, excellent. I know we had talked previously about hammering that, just putting up the warning signals for folks, because that's why you want to watch these shows, because you never know what you're going to get. Okay, it is 1:02. So we have completed our hour. I think it was a good one. Everyone in the chat, thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. Max, Yoga, Enrique, any of you have any parting thoughts?
Stay epic.
Stay epic. All right.
Keep it epic.
Just be your own person. I mean, make your own decisions and be your own person. I think the free market will decide what's bullshit, what's not, as somebody put it out there.
Well, all I know is the rest of the weekend, I'm going to self-identify as Enrique. It's just because that's how I'm going to roll this weekend. So.
Wow.
And so I'll be more handsome and better and smarter this weekend. So, hey, Max, thank you for all your awesome work. And that white paper is astonishing. And I know all the good things that are going to come from that. And I know it is not without a lot of opportunity costs for you from a time standpoint. So thank you and good job. And man, it's getting close.
Speaking of getting close, I'm deliberately ignorant to Twitter, but I understand it's a fairly big deal. I'm going live at 4:30 with Jason Williams, American Hodl, Parabolic Guy, and some others I don't recognize. So I think we have what, 1,200 people in our main Telegram, perhaps 10 times that or even more could tune into this. So
Where do we tune in?
We'll find the links and share them. We'll spread them around. Just ping me after, and we'll make sure everybody has access to it. I don't know quite yet.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Let's just agree that in Freeman U and t.me/Epic Cash, we'll have the links. I'll put it in t.me
Awesome.
Uncle Vigilante Lounge too. But yeah, let's all go in there and support that. That's a big deal, everyone. That's a big, hairy deal. BHAG. All right. Okay. Well, good luck, man. And I'll be looking for that. We got your back, brother.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. See you.